Yeah, thank you, Sonalji. Yeah, hello, Radhe Radhe. Good morning, good evening, everyone. Welcome to Daily Wisdom from Bhagavad Gita session. Radhe Radhe, Nitinji, over to you.
Radhe Radhe. Thank you, Pallavi ji. Thank you, Sunil Bhai and Madan ji, for a wonderful session, like always. Welcome, everyone. Hope you had a great start, having a great start to your day. I had a great day. Welcome to today's edition of Daily Wisdom. We will continue on our journey on chapter 2, and today we are going to look at the peace formula. Just to reiterate, these sessions are makeup sessions or recap sessions for the benefit of people who have joined late. But Bhagavad Gita being the more you go into it, the more pearls you'll churn out of it, as I'm discovering as well. If I'm going it through these things, there are so many new things that are coming up. So I'm looking forward to another engaging, fascinating session. Like always, let me get started by invoking the blessings of God and Guru. So let me share my screen. Welcome again, everyone. I'm going to share my screen and we'll get started. All right. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes, perfect. All good.
Wonderful. Okay, so let's get started. Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwaraha, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsa Chanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. All right. Radhe Radhe, a very warm welcome to all of you once again. So let's get started. Today I picked up 3 shlokas to cover up the topic that we're going to discuss. So I'm going to recite it and you're welcome to follow along. We'll probably split maybe 3 people for each shloka. We have a good amount of content to cover. So we'll see how quickly we can get through these. So I'm going to recite it and you're welcome to follow along. Yami mam pushpitam vacham pravadantya vipishchitaha vedvadarata partha nanyadasti vadinaha kamatmana swargpara janma karma phalapradam kriya vishesha bahula bhogeshwarya gatim prati. All right, let's take a few participants and then get the
Radhe Radhe, Payalji.
Radhe
Please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe, Payal.
Yamimam pushpitam vacham pravadantya vipashyati vedvadarata partha nanyadastiti vadinaha.
Wonderful, very nice, Payalji.
Radhe Radhe.
Let's pick up maybe a couple of more hands.
Sandhya ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe Sandhya.
Radhe Radhe. Yamimam pushpitam vacham pravadantya vipashchitaha vedvadarataha partha nanyadastiti vadinaha.
Wonderful.
Ragi ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
3 shlokas, so lot to choose from today.
Radhe Radhe.
Buffet of shlokas today, let me put it that way. All right, Radhe Radhe, Pragiji, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Yamimam pushpitam vacham pravadante vipaschitaha vedvadarata partha nanyadastiti vadinaha.
Very nice, thank you, Pragiji. So we can
Thank
take one
you.
more hand and then we move on to the next shloka so that we can cover the remaining
Yes.
hands.
Livani ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe. Yamimam pushpitam vacham pravadanti avipaschitaham vedavada artham nanyad astiti vadinaham.
That was very nice. Thank you very much. Okay, so let's move on to the next shloka and we'll pick up the remaining four hands there.
Priya ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead for the next shloka. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So let me read the quick translation for this and then we move on to the next shloka. So in this, Lord Krishna is telling Arjun that those with limited understanding get attracted to the flowery words of the Vedas, which advocate ostentatious rituals for elevation to the celestial abodes, and presume no higher principle is described in them. They glorify only those portions of the Vedas that please their senses, and perform pompous ritualistic ceremonies for attaining high birth, opulence, sensual enjoyment, and elevation to the heavenly planets. Okay. So we'll get into this shloka. Let's move on to the next one. I'll cover three shlokas together today.
Riyaji, Radhe Radhe, please go
Yeah,
ahead.
let me recite it and then Riyaji can follow along.
Okay.
Bhogeshwarya prasaktanam tayapahrit chetasam vyavasayatmika buddhi samadho na vidhiyate. All right.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
भोगैश्वर्यप्रसक्तानां तयापहृतचेतसां व्यवसायात्मिका बुद्धिः समाधौ न विधीयते.
Wonderful, very nice, Riyaji. Let's take the last three hands, maybe.
Sri Ramya ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe, Sri Ramya.
Radhe Radhe. भोगैश्वर्या प्रसक्तानां दयापातितचेतसां व्यवसायात्मिका बुद्धि समाधौ न विद्यते.
Very nice, thank you. Okay, let's take real quick the remaining hands.
Uday ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe. Bhogaishwarya prashaktanam tayapahirta chetasam vyavasayatmika buddhi samadho na vidiyate. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe, last two hands. Let's take
Yes,
them.
Rahul ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead. Yeah.
Radhe Radhe. Bhogeshwarya prasaktanam taya prahichetasam vyavasayatmika buddhi samadho na vidhiyate.
Very nice, Rahul. Vyavasayatmika. We'll talk about that. Yes, Sumeshi, last but not the least, please go ahead.
Please go ahead. Radhe Radhe, Sumesh ji.
Radhe Radhe.
भोगैश्वर्य प्रसक्तानां तया परिचेतसां व्यवसायात्मिका बुद्धिः समाधौ न विधीयते.
Very nice. Thank you, Sumeshi. All right. So in this, Lord Krishna is saying, with their minds deeply attached to worldly pleasures and their intellects bewildered by such things, they are unable to possess the resolute determination for success on the path to God. Yesterday, we spoke about the concept of Vyavasayatmika Buddhi that requires a resolute intellect. Resolute intellect means as straight as an arrow. No distractions, very clear about what they want to do. It is just like a vegetarian would look at a fish market, not interested at all, very, very focused on what they want to do. Okay, that is called Vyavasayatmika Buddhi. So let's get into it now. It's a very important concept around, as you would see, right? People when we worship, let's get into that concept and then I think it will make more sense. Okay, so today we are going to talk about the formula for peace. We all are looking for peace, bliss, happiness, eternal joy, and all that stuff. So we'll get to that formula today. What is that formula? Let's get started. So the Vedas, they are like a journal store. Like we go to a mart, shopping mart, they have pretty much everything you can ask for. But then from our standpoint, we have to be focused on what we truly value, right, based on our spiritual trajectory. But Vedas, it has the Karam Kand, the ritualistic ceremonies aspect of it. 80% of the Vedas are like that, because even God knew that majority of the people will not be interested in the higher principles. They will be interested in Karam Kand and the fruitive actions around it. No, if I do this, I'll get this. If I do this, I'll get this. So that is where 80% of the Vedas are directed towards the Karam Kand aspect of it. And the remaining ones is Gyan Kand and then Upasana Kand. Gyan Kand is the knowledge section. Upasana Kand is the devotional section. This is how the Veda split is. Now, if you look at the Karam Kand section, it advocates performance of certain ritualistic ceremonies for material rewards and promotion to the celestial abodes. In Kali Yuga, there are 5 or 6 things that have to fall in place even to do these ritualistic activities. Desh, Kal, Niyam, Dravya, and the person who is doing that, all the things have to be pure. Then only you will get the fruitive action. And they have to be performed to the letter T with the perfection that is required for these. Otherwise, the results could be counterproductive as well. Okay? If you get the swar wrong, if you get the recitation wrong, if you get the time wrong, it can have results which could be counterproductive as well. That's the case, right? When this guy Kumbhakaran was doing puja to please Brahmaji so that he could ask for a boon. So Indra got terrified. He's anyway very insecure guy, Indra, because anytime anybody in Mrityulok does austerities or sadhana, he thinks that they are going to dethrone him. So he became very insecure. So when the moment of truth came for Kumbhakaran, where Brahmaji descended in front of him, Indra, being Indra, he took help from Saraswati. He said, sit on his tongue and make sure he doesn't get what he's looking for. So Saraswati, when Kumbhakaran was supposed to ask for Indrasan, she just made a slight twist. So in Indrasan, he said Nidrasan, okay? And Brahmaji said Tathastu, and rest is history. Right, what happened to Kumbhakaran. And then Ravan said, what are you doing to him? Poor guy, he did so much of austerities in this. And then Brahmaji made a discounted offer. He said, all right, 6 months. 6 months he can wake up, and how he operated after that. For a long amount of time, I always used to think that Kumbhakaran was the most sorted out guy in Ramayana. Just eat, sleep, be merry. Later on, came to know he was actually a realized soul, Jai Vijay, because he got killed in the hands of Ram, and he was one of the people who tried to talk him out of fighting Ram, right? So he was a realized soul, anyways, just part of being there in the Leela. Anyways, if we do these activities, it takes us to celestial abodes. And the celestial abodes are, Akka is golden jail. Okay, so Karam Kand will not take us very far. It is a golden jail that we are seeking if we simply focus on that. And this, as we see, the end goal is golden jail. It will not be able to take you any further. You will enjoy higher level of material luxuries, a better facility for sensual enjoyment, but nothing beyond that. And people who have limited understanding, they think the only purpose of Vedas is to go to Swarg or to enjoy sensual enjoyments, basically, even living on this earth by asking for material boons. And what happens because of that is the cycle of life and death, they continue on that. There's a price tag for everything, nothing comes free. And if you follow Karam Kand, even if you get boons, that also doesn't come free. And there's a huge price that we are paying for that. What is that huge price? The huge price is the tourism, 8.4 million tourism that we are doing. Okay, lifetime after lifetime after lifetime. That is the price tag of going after the Karam Kand aspect of it, or going after the boons, material boons. There are no free lunches, God says. And in this case also, you may think you are actually enjoying, but you are truly not. Maharajji gives a very, very strong analogy around it. Okay, I'll get to that. When we go for sensual enjoyment, whether on this earth or let's say in heavenly abodes as well, because there's no limit to those sensual enjoyments that we do. Specifically, when we go for indulgence here, it may seem like we are enjoying, but he has given an analogy of a dry bone that a dog is chewing. Dry bone that a dog is chewing. It may think, that it's enjoying the juice that is coming out of it, but that juice is nothing but its own blood. It's a bit gory, but that is essentially what happens when we go for sensual enjoyment. It is at our own expense, and that price is very high. We know what is the price that we are paying, right? Pretty high price. That is maintaining ourselves in this world and continuing to repeat here in the 8.4 million species. Let's move on. So, quick recap. Karam Kand aspect, ritualistic activities, they don't take us very far. At best, they will take us to celestial abodes. And we don't mind saying that as well, right? We say Swarg is the aim of life. We put that Swargiya Shri. So Swargiya is, we think, is the highest thing in life to be achieved, and we feel very proud of it. If somebody, putting that part, prefixing Swargiya, but Swarg is not the great place to go, basically. That's what Maharajian philosophy tells us. It's a golden jail, nothing more than that. Now moving on. So Lord Krishna is telling in these verses, look at the senses and the sense objects around it. He's saying that people who are attracted to Karam Kand, those who seek sensual pleasures, end of the day, it's a Lakshata Vachata kind of a thing. Lakshata means it's a stepping stone, or your aim is something else. Vachata means what is the goal. So this is just a means to an end. Means is the Karam Kand that we are doing, end is the sensual indulgence we want to do. We want to enjoy, give gratification to our senses. Okay. And they go for this aspect of it. Now Vedas, there are so many allurements in Vedas. You can do mantra siddhi, you can do so many things if you go to Vedas. And this basically attracts a lot of people, higher standard of living, and it's just like in life also, if a father says, my little child, if you become highly educated, you will get very nice job, and then you'll get good salary, and then you'll have nice apartment, nice wife, nice spouse, nice children, all that stuff, right? This is what Vedas are telling us, and we all know the story, what happens right after that. All that nice thing. That's what I told Swamiji. My parents would told me that once you clear board, your life will be set. Said good. Then I cleared board. They said clear your entrance, your life will be set. I cleared entrance. He said, okay, get a job, your life will be set. I got a job, and they said, all right, go to on-site. Once you get your, settle down in US, and life will never be the same again. That also happened. And all that had happened, and I met Swamiji, and Swamiji, after meeting him, I realized I'm back to square one, zero. Nothing mattered actually. So this is the story of our life. Okay, so Vedas also give us that false promise. 80% of the Karam Kand aspect of it. Something good is going to happen to us if you do this. You'll get this, you'll get that. But people who are smart, or who come in contact with saints, who truly understand the deeper meaning of Veda, they reject that. They say, no, we are not going to settle for anything less than God itself. Even in Bhagavatam serial, I like that song. It says very nicely, Soch samajh ke sauda kijiye, ye nand ka lal bada vyapari. So God also keeps on testing us. You want this? You want this? You'll take chocolate, you'll take this carrot, that. Which carrot will you settle for? We all have our carrots, right, that we can settle for. So we need to cleanse our antakaran so that we don't fall for it. But Krishna is going to keep on testing us till we say we reject everything and we just want you. He's not going to come in front of us. Okay. So that is where Vedas, 80% of it. So many allurements that Pandit and so many people would tell you, we don't settle for that once you understand this knowledge. So this materialistic way of life might seem enticing. And similarly, you have allurements in Vedic literature as well. And people who get allured to such, they do such and such pious deeds, but back of the mind, they always want to reap some kind of a benefit for sensual indulgence only, nothing else. And the same thing happens even if you go to higher abodes, all the way up to Brahmalok. Okay. Munduk Upanishad says that those who practice these ostentatious rituals prescribed in Vedas for enjoying the celestial pleasures of higher abodes think themselves to be the scholars of the scriptures. but in reality, they are foolish. They are like the blind leading the blind. Okay? That is how strongly it is condemned in Mundak Upanishad. Okay? So hope it puts few things in perspective around the ritualistic part of it and the Karam Kand aspect of it. Now let's move on. In this verse, next one, it's saying, Lord Krishna is saying, highlighting that Vyavasaya Atmika Buddhi that we spoke about yesterday, the fixed mind in devotion is not possible for the people who are too attached to material world pleasures. Now, how do we get that resolute intellect is what he's going to explain now. If you're already neck deep into the material world, because of whatever thing, could be a relationship, could be objects, could be any material allurements at the back of our mind, we cannot have that resolute intellect. We'll see how. So sensual enjoyment falls into these two types: bhog, gratification, aishwarya, luxury. Okay, this is what basically we are seeking. And these intellect, it continues to invest its time, or our income, basically enhancing our income or contemplating how to increase our material possessions, that we translate to directly proportional to our enjoyment and happiness. That is how the intellect of people who go for sensual enjoyment goes. And if they say, if you want to know what is your secret stash or your attachment, go and watch that person's credit card bill. Okay, wherever you will see most of the things, that is where the attachment is. So this, and then it is called bewilderment, kind of an hallucination, right? And because of it, because that's a false promise, Maya gives, okay, buy me, get me, I'm going to give you happiness. Doesn't happen. We know that, right? It's a temporary happiness we get, and then it diminishes away after a while. And because of that, what happens, that firm resolve that is needed, that there is no happiness here, and the real happiness is another path, that resolve doesn't develop. We are 50-50, 60-40, 80-20, that proportion may vary, but we are not able to make that resolute, firm intellect, firm conviction that there is no happiness in this world. You say, no, there is. At least there is a little, and there is actually, if you think about it, that honey is still dripping. So when honey is dripping, that story I think we spoke about, Kathopanishad story, when the guy is hanging upside down, the snake is waiting, the rats are nibbling the branches, you have witch animals waiting for him, and all the bees biting on his face. And in that situation, there's a honey dripping on his face, and he's just enjoying that, forgetting the precarious situation that person is in. So there is definitely that pleasure, a little bit of pleasure that we are getting from that honey, but that honey itself is stopping us in this world, not letting us develop that firm intellect that, I need to get out of this dangerous situation that I am in. It's only because of that honey. We forget the precarious situation we all are in. All right, so let's move on. This is our intellect. We spoke about this. Intellect is the governor of our mind. Right? So that is the concept we have spoken about. Now, this intellect decides where the happiness is. Okay, let's look at this process, how it unfolds. That's the story of our life. Okay, when I heard it from Swamiji for the first time, I was blown away with this concept. This happens to us all the times, every day. Okay, this is essentially the story of our life. It decides this is where happiness is. And why does it seek happiness? We have spoken about this concept. Everybody seeks happiness. Nobody desires misery. We have to seek happiness. That is a spiritual law. Where we seek happiness, we have a choice. And that is where intellect decides, all right, I need happiness no matter what. But this is where the happiness is. Intellect has decided somewhere. Okay. And that somewhere is in this material world. Then what happens? You would start repeatedly contemplating on the object of that desire. Okay, you have desired something because you need happiness, and then you start contemplating on that object. If I get this car, if I get this car, if I get this latest model, if I get this latest model, if I get married to this girl, if I get married to this boy, that is where the happiness is. That is where the happiness is, right? Enough contemplation will happen. Enough contemplation. Mind is continue to contemplate. This is where the happiness is. Only if I have this, only if I have this. So you keep repeating that to yourself. Okay, this is the story of our life. Think about it. Every time this happens, if I get this promotion, if I get this promotion, if I go to Hawaii, if I go to Hawaii, when we go to next vacation, all this is the repeated contemplation your mind is doing. Okay. And because of that repeated contemplation, the object in which you are contemplating, right, of desire, that is the object you are desiring. Now you have formed an attachment. All right, if I don't get it, my life is waste. You start writing letters with your blood, right? Or you start telling, feeling bad, thinking yourself as a failure if you could not get that coveted position that you were looking for. Why? Because you have thought so deeply about it that your mind is completely convinced that is where the happiness is. And if I don't get it, done deal, I'll be extremely unhappy, or my life is a failure. That is the power of contemplation. Right? Contemplation can lead us to the law of gravity, like Newton did. And at the same time, on the flip side, contemplation can lead us to even commit suicide. And people, when they do that, it's because they have deeply contemplated about this. They're unhappy, they can't take it. Life is a mess and all that stuff, and it happens. That is the power of contemplation. So, because you have contemplated on a particular thing so much, it has already formed an attachment, a hook to that thing. That hook is formed. Now, statistically, mathematically, probabilistically, what are the odds of that thing happening? 50-50. Are there two options? There are two only options. There's no third option. It will happen or it will not happen. It will not stay in pending. So what happens if it happens? Your desire gets fulfilled. Now what happens? Are you happy? Are you happy? Yeah, you are happy, I think. Now this guy, Ruskin Bond, gave a very interesting quotation. I love that. He said there are only two disappointments in life. Desiring something and not getting it. And the second one is desiring something and getting it. Right? Because what happens? Let's look at it. Desire is fulfilled. You are excited, you are happy. Wow, I got it right. All right, you got the object that you always desired. It could be a car, could be gadget, could be your dream person, right? But trust me, it is short-lived. Okay, that is temporary, no matter what. And then what happens? It leads to greed. You need more of it. You have a novelty bias. Our mind has a novelty bias. It needs something new to replicate the same thrill it got the last time. Okay, so you got this thrill from this object. Now, in order to replicate that, you need that object to be bigger and better. In order for it to be bigger and better, now it leads to greed. So if you're into tourism, your intellect is convinced gaining experiences in life is the thing, right? The motive of life. In order for you to replicate the same experience, you have to go to newer places and give yourself more and more kick. If you're into adventure sports, the kick that you got from your previous ride, you will not get it. It has to get bigger and better. So nobody stops. And that if you look at the capitalist economy, it's all based on this principle. We don't stop. That is how we are meant to be. So what happens if your desire is fulfilled? It will lead to greed. You need more of it. That is how it's meant to be. If somebody can stop, it's not possible. Our scriptures are telling us it will lead to greed. You will not stop, no matter what. So other 50% probability is, so now our scriptures say that when you satiate greed, it's like putting fuel to fire. It's like you're trying to douse a fire by putting ghee in it. Can it get satiated? No. For a moment, it may feel that it has subsided, but then it will come back with redoubled intensity. Right? When you put ghee to fire, you have actually fueled it even further. And this process repeats. And if your desire is not fulfilled, it will lead to anger and frustration. You will cry, you will get frustrated, you will get angry. How could I not get it? And I need to do this and that. And this keeps on happening repeatedly in our life with everything. Okay? So this is a cycle which tells us, and how did this process start? Because of your intellect. It sought happiness there. It has to seek happiness. And when we continue to seek happiness in this material world, let's look at that, what happens. I hope this process Now, wherever these things come, the desire became the mother. So whenever we have greed and anger, the mother has to be there. If sons are there, mother has to be there. And what is the mother? Mother is desire. It's the mother of both greed and anger. And it is even bigger than both of them. That's what our scriptures tell us, desire. Buddha has stated 4 truths. He said that there is misery in this world. Second truth is there is a cause for misery. Third is cause for misery is desire. And fourth one is finish the desire and finish the misery. Right? Even there, the desire aspect is coming up. We will go a little further than that though in our discussion, but desire is the root cause for all the problems that we see in our life. Right? Rag, dvesh is the problem. I want this, I don't want this. Hankering and lamentation. This cycle keeps on repeating time after time, right? I want this job, I want this position, I want this person, I want this object, I want to avoid this. This is something that should not happen to me. This is the story of our life. And Lord Krishna is telling us to rise above these dualities because both are temporary. Let's move on. So now you say, no, I will choose to indulge. Okay, for whatever reason, I like this honey and I will choose to indulge. Fair point. So let's see what happens if we choose to indulge. So hankering, indulgence is basically hankering for something, and lamentation, avoiding something, right? You don't like something or these are the 2 things that happens, right? So let's look at some of the things what happen. Now Bhagavad Gita 18.38 says that through sensual indulgence, it may appear enjoyable to begin with, but it ends up making us miserable. Okay, that is 18.38 speaks about that. As you can see, I'm not going to read that. And mode of passion, when we hanker for something, it is called rajas gun in act. We'll talk about gunas tomorrow, by the way. It's a rajas gun. It gets derived when the senses come with the object of their senses, which are subtler than the senses. We have spoken about that. So this happiness is like nectar at first, but poison in the end. Okay, this is poison in the end. Very clearly, our scriptures are telling us. Now, what happens over time? If you look at the hankering and lamenting, it just keeps on increasing because the intervening pleasure, it starts decreasing. It's not a permanent pleasure that we're looking for, right? So pleasure is short-lived, and that relief from self-inflicted torment of constant hankering and lamenting is basically there. So it is not visible. So indulgence, the physical and the visible part is there. Somebody is enjoying. But the hankering and lamentation that follows along, those effects are psychological. They are digging, getting firmly ingrained in our head. They are invisible. Those sanskars that we are forming because of that, they are invisible. And it takes a lot of intelligence to understand how indulgence is actually harming us more than being helpful to us. That is not because it is not visible. If you have indulged in something, the effect will not be immediate, right? If somebody smokes and immediately they have a lung cancer, will anybody smoke? If somebody has a scoop of ice cream and they have a heart attack, nobody will take that. So it is slowly degrading that. Plus, it is forming those neural channels which will become a permanent baggage for our chitta. We spoke about chitta yesterday. Man, buddhi, chitta, ahankar. Those storages is happening in chitta quietly. Okay, that is a baggage you are creating for your subtle body when you depart from this world. Okay, that is what indulgence does to us. It's like more homework that you are creating for yourself because your senses, you are empowering your senses. Either you can empower your senses or you can put your senses at your disposal. Putting your senses at your disposal will be a concept that Lord Krishna is going to explain later. But right now, when we indulge, we are actually empowering our senses. We are empowering our mind, which is already our enemy. Let's continue. So if we continue to indulge, we have made a choice, we will do that. Let's see what happens. Deeper into this material world, we will get deeper. We say, there is happiness, the honey that is falling, it is enjoyable. So your resolute intellect will not be there. It will say, no, I enjoy. So I'll do 50-50. My spiritual quota is over. I'll do this. But other part of it, people say that, will we become neerus if we stop doing all that as well? The interesting point here is that if you start following that pendulum principle, equanimity, and refuse to ride the fluctuations, lamentation and indulgence or hankering, God is not conjuice makhi juice. What he gives you in return is much higher than what you otherwise would get in this material world by indulging. That is experiential. Okay. But we have to get to that stage, of course. You may say, okay, well, what kind of a boring life, nearest life would this be? I can't even have chola bhatura rasgulla. I mean, we can all have that. That's fine as prasad of God. But it's talking about much deeper indulgences that we do by making those kamanas, desires. You know, I want this, I want that. This object is going to make me complete and stuff like that. If you can choose to write that and align to Krishna's principle, what he will give you in return goes much more and deeper than what we have experienced in material world, because God is not miserly. Okay, so that is a concept to be understood. A lot of people think now, do we become nearest, boring in life, and you know, what are you talking about? The other thing is 2.39 says that even the knowledge of most discerning gets covered by this perpetual enemy in form of insatiable desire, which is never satisfied and burns like fire. Desire never gets satisfied. There's so many stories in our scriptures, we can get into that, but it is not something that you can satiate by fulfilling it. It is counterproductive, but it is a bit like itch. If you do it, it will come back. If you simply tolerate it, saying, Lord is testing me out, it will go away. The desire is also like that, is what our scriptures are telling us. Suffering karmic reactions because it is a bond, it is a binding karma. Lower forms of life in hellish planets because now if you have just spent your life eating, some people, they say the philosophy of life is you don't live to eat, you eat to live. Right? That philosophy is there as well. Epicurean people, they say that. Now, we don't know what kind of life is waiting us if that's where we spend our life, right? I think a lot of lower species do exactly the same for the rest of eternity. Not eternity, but for that particular yoni. Pigs, they just eat, right? I mean, there's absolutely no regulation around the lives that they lead. So basically, we are making grounds for ourselves to go to the lower forms if we simply indulge in activities catering to our lower nature. Purely indulgence, nothing else. Okay, that's another flip side of it. So just calling out some of the harmful effects of indulgence. 3.39 talks about that as well. Now, formula for peace. Right? That is what we said is going to be a topic for discussion today, right? So formula for peace is, Lord Krishna is saying, Swamiji has beautifully explained it as well. Noble Truths of Buddha also reiterates the same. Give up, desire, okay, and pride also. He adds that, okay. We'll get into that, why pride. I would say give up, forget about give up, dovetail it. Giving up is something that doesn't come naturally to our mind. So the whole idea is to desire, double your desire, but start dovetailing it towards God. That is the formula for peace, very simple formula for peace. Easier said than done, but that's the only way. If somebody has plan B or plan C to get peace, please share it, because our scriptures have not given us anything else. That is the only way to lasting peace and ongoing peace. And the pride aspect of it as well. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had said that Trinadapi Sunichen Tarorapi Sahishnuna Amanen Manadena Kirtaniya Sadahari. Amanen Manaden means don't desire respect, desire giving respect to others. How many of us can intuitively do that is a question for our self-introspection. So this craving or desire for man also causes lack of peace. When we think, oh my God, what will the people say, right? Kya kahenge, sabse bada rog, kya kahenge char log. We want them to respect us. We want them to say good things about us. So Maharaj Ji says, अच्छा कहलवाने की जगह अच्छा बनने की कोशिश करो. In English, it says, rather than craving for getting, called good by others, focus on becoming good in real. So that craving for man and aversion to apman, which is craving for respect, and aversion from lack of respect, is something we have to get over that as well if we want to lasting peace. Right? So these are the couple of things that you have to continually practice keep repeating that knowledge in our heads in different forms and start rising above it to start feeling that tranquility, peace, joy, bliss that we all are seeking. So next time somebody comes and says you are stupid, you should not feel a twitch in your heart. Then all right, like Tulsidas ji said, Moso kon kutil khalkami, right? Even the saints are saying, who is worse than me? And we feel fired up the moment somebody says anything to us. All right, I'm going to knock the wind out of you, kind of a deal, right? So next time we do that, and if we can simply tolerate or digest it with knowledge that, you know what, there's an iota of truth in that, because I'm not a saint as yet. So yes, I'm there, but our argument is usually, okay, I'm there, but you are even worse than me. If that thing we can simply ride, not saying that, then I think we'll get help from Krishna, because we have forfeited the dopamine kick, and Krishna will give us the serotonin kick later on. So that is a practice we can start doing in our lives, where that could be a self-introspection in your journal. Today, how many times did I lose my peace? Just because I thought I should have this, because of my hankering about something, or lamentation over, oh, this did not happen. If this would have happened, I would have been happy. And secondly, how many times did I fail because somebody said something annoying to me? That is a good test for us to put down and repeat on a regular basis to see how we can progress on that. And that is a formula for peace we can practice and see where it takes us in a matter of few weeks, but we'll have to contemplate and revise it before we go to sleep, 5 minutes before that. And when we get up with a new resolve, yesterday my boss yelled at me, but today if he does, I'm going to preempt it, knowing that he will do that and not lose my cool about it. So those are some of the own tests that we have to do. It could be our boss, it could be spouse, it could be that friend, it could be anybody. But find that person who annoys you, troubles you, and if you simply learn to tolerate or increase your resilience around that, it will take you closer to peace. It is counterintuitive, but this is what Lord Krishna is telling us. So from a practical standpoint, you could put it down in your journal. These are the 2 things I'm going to practice for the next 2 or 3 weeks, or maybe for the month, and see how it. Maybe I'd like to hear from participants if you can share your experience around it. Simply tolerate it. It's just a matter of tolerating it. Wonderful things happen after that. Maharaj ji said that 95% of Ashanti in this world, lack of peace, is because of war, weapon. No, just because of words. Think about it. Just because of word, this 95% Ashanti in this world is lack of peace. Word. We are not able to tolerate words. Right? So that is the thing. And this is a formula Lord Krishna is giving us to increase our peace quotient. Simply learn to tolerate it. That's it. Now you will say, no, if I tolerate, that person will sit on my head. All right. Otherwise, is that person sparing you? Think about it. If you indulge in it, you're just enjoying that dopamine kick, but that person is not going to. But there can be a better response about it, right? East Germany, West Germany example we spoke about, how they responded rather than reacting. So just try a different formula and see if that helps or not. Although it is very enjoyable to vent it out immediately, but if we can learn to tolerate that, it will take us closer to peace. All right, with that, I'll open it up. Any questions that anybody has? And then I think Sandhya is going to walk us through with something so amazing that we would have never believed, that could happen as well. So I'll hand it over to you in a few minutes. Let's hear from a couple of hands if there are any questions.
Yeah, there are a couple of hand raised. Sure. And Nitinji, such an wonderful session that I think people must be processing all the information. There's so much like gems shared today. Thank you so much.
No worries. I think the key takeaway, if you were to go, I know I covered a lot of content theory stuff. So first of all, that identification of that cycle that happens, repeated contemplation and stuff like that, I think that is one thing you can reflect on. We fall into that trap even after knowing it. So that is one part. That repeated contemplation could be dovetailed. That is one. And second is, let's try this formula. That is why I put it in the nididhyasana aspect of it. I'm going to reiterate it. How well we can tolerate things that annoy or bother us. Okay, and share some success stories, because our mind will tell us, no, why should I tolerate? This other person will really take me for a ride and stuff like that. Scriptures are telling us, no, you do that. change the input and see, what you start experiencing. It will take a bit of a practice, and I'm going to do that as well. We're going to share a tracker where we'll put it. I think that is a beautiful tracker Urvi came up with. I'll share it in our session, maybe in one of these days. You can actually utilize that tracker, put it and just mark it for yourself how many times you failed and how many times you succeeded. And over time, you will realize huge benefits out of it. And let's all sign up for that once we socialize it. But regardless, start this practice in your journal, and then collectively we can put things that we are actively working on, and share some success stories around it as well. Yes, Shriramya, you had a question?
Please go ahead,
Hi.
Ramya ji.
Radhe. So one question I had is, we have to dovetail our desires for God, but I don't know what God desires, so that I can desire as per that. How would I know what God desires?
What God desires? How would I know what God desires? Right? You're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a very philosophical question. So I asked the same question to Swamiji as well. How will we know what God desires? We can't truly know that. Our intuition would tell us to a larger extent. It is like this: when we go to Karam Yoga, this question was about to come up there as well. Swamiji gives a very beautiful analogy around it. Right? It's those of you who have played tennis or cricket. You would know when you are playing and you hit a shot through the sweet spot of the bat or with the tennis, you know that you have hit it out of the park. Intuitively, you would know that. So typically, your feeling would tell you that you have aligned to God's will more often than not, at least 99% of the times, or maybe 95% of the times. Don't hold me accountable for the numbers I'm sharing, but I'm just telling you for most part. And for the scenarios where you are still not sure, your intuition is not guiding you, or you didn't come to know, Swamiji tells us, keep your intention pure around that act, because intention is our insurance policy. So God will give you credit because He's seated within. He knows that you can only make a best estimate around what His desire is, and there might be times you may not get it right, but as long as you had the purity of intention and sincerity at heart, He'll still give you credit.
Thank you.
Hope that answers. Yeah.
There is a question, Nitinji.
Sure.
Should we take in the chat?
Sure.
Ankurji has mentioned, if we learn to tolerate, it creates a perception around that this person is weak and can't stand for himself.
Not necessarily. Again, it's a counterproductive. See, you can be gentle and yet assertive. You can tolerate and yet make your point. All these things, dualities you have to deal with, you can learn, right? Did somebody think Mahatma Gandhi was a weak person or Nelson Mandela was a weak person? They're not, right? I would say they were very, in fact, it takes a lot of strength to tolerate. It is a sign of weakness if we are impulsive. It's just the opposite. Only person who is really resilient and strong can actually tolerate it and treat it like a background noise. People who are weak would vent it out. It's just the other way around. Think deeply about it. It takes a lot of spiritual strength and resilience to not succumb to the desire or the temptation of retaliating immediately. It's not everybody's cup of tea. It requires a lot of strength.
Yes, beautifully explained. Nitinji, there is a similar question from Surendraji also. Letting go is not cowardice or helplessness, nor inability. I think you answered it.
Yeah, it's not inability. It's just that you have chosen to forfeit that battle which is not worth pursuing. Okay. Eagle example Swamiji gives. When the crows come and they start, poking their nose and eagle is around, what does eagle do? Does he pick up a fight with every crow? No. It just rises and soars so high that no crow can reach there. Similarly, when an elephant is watching and walking and the dogs, they come and start barking, the elephant doesn't mind take his time off to start, to fight with each dog. It simply keeps on walking. So there are enough examples, analogies you can look at, but it takes a lot of strength and resilience to do that. In fact, the best state, obviously something you'll feel from within once you start tolerating it, but there would come a stage, that's the desired stage, where it will not even bother you. It's like a background noise. It's like fine. It's like you're going to a mental asylum or a hospital and not really getting surprised why these people are sick. You already know people are under Maya. They will have all these kind of things, and you understand that concept. So you have risen above that. That is the whole idea. But that is an advanced stage we all have to strive for and work towards. So to begin with, we can put a tracker how many times we failed, how many times we succeeded, and start measuring our progress over time. But we have to do a deliberate practice around it. Right? Swamiji talks about deliberate practice, not aimless, mindless repetition. So same input, same output. So we have to change the input around it. All right, I'm started feeling something within. That amber zone has started. Now I need to figure out my game plan to just tolerate it or have a better response than what I used to do. And that will be a deliberate practice around this concept. Yes, Sandhya, you had a question too. I think Jyoti is going to give presentation. Okay, small correction. Yes, Sandhya.
Actually, I just wanted to share an analogy that Swamiji gave in the same context. It was about tolerance. So he gave this analogy: when someone draws a line, you have an option of either rubbing that line or drawing another line next to it, which is much bigger than that. So if you want to get into arguments, if someone hurts you, you are just trying to rub that line. But if you actually focus on improving and growing, then you are drawing a line next to it, which is much bigger and which automatically makes the first line insignificant.
Beautiful.
So,
very nice. Thank you for sharing that. They say, right, when you are, let's say you are at this, you're operating at this level, and somebody starts operating at this level with you. Now you have a choice. Do you want to come down to their level, or you want to raise the bar even further? Both choices are there. And anyway, there's an English quotation which say that don't argue and fight with stupids. They'll first bring you down to their level and beat you with experience. Okay, but anyways, that's not the point. Point is that you don't start dragging yourself down. You keep on raising your game. J.R.D. Tata example Swamiji gives, right? When he went to Ford, the owner of Ford, that was a pre-Indica story. He was ridiculed by him that you don't know what it means to be in car business, right? And J.R.D. Tata simply tolerated it, and he came back and he really thought about it. He ridiculed me. There must be something I need to correct on my end. And he came up with a plan, and he said, we are going to make world-class products from here on. And first of all, the promise that he had made that I'm going to create a car which a middle, middle class man can afford, 1 lakh car Nano. He created that. But on the other hand, he actually reached a stature where he could buy out Jaguar when it was on the verge of bankruptcy. And when he was buying Jaguar, who was the owner of that? It belonged to Ford Motors only. And that guy came, he said, you are actually doing us a favor. So that was the classic response J.R.D. Tata gave rather than picking up a fight. He actually channelized that humiliation to do something better, bigger. What happens to us is we start picking up battles and fighting them and proving them wrong and saying, I'm better than you and you are worse off than me. That is what Lord Krishna is saying. Do away from. Tolerate it, channelize it, or treat it like a background noise. You'll get better and you'll get lasting peace. Okay.
Beautifully said. Yeah, thank you.
So
Can we
regarding
take Kumarji, or do we have to move on to the presentation?
Sure. Kumarji, you had a question? We're just picking up questions right now. Do you have a question?
Radhe, yeah, it's not a question, just a comment. If you want me to wait, I can wait. Okay, yeah, I'll make it quick. So I think you covered all the points, Nitinji, very well. Obviously, we have to try to be the better than the other person, right? Better, I mean, spiritually, be the better person, right? That they say. So we don't need to go down to each person's level, but also be cautious about this, right? You don't want to be a doormat, kind of.
Yeah, understood.
Right. So that is something which you need to look at very carefully. It's sometimes a very thin line. So, I think we contemplate. One thing which I kind of do is, like many times I used to kind of respond immediately, as if I have to respond. There is no need to respond immediately. And you can wait, contemplate, and respond. Even it's not like a debate competition or something like that. One thing which will happen is, in case if you respond immediately, or even when you respond, see how you feel after that. you have to feel good about it, right?
True.
Then you are in the right path. That's how I go by. Thank you.
Beautiful.
Radhe Radhe.
Beautiful point, Kumarji. Swamiji also talks about this concept that when you do perform some action, the feeling that that feeling that follows after that act will tell you whether you did something good or not. That feeling will tell you exactly. Great point. Let's get to the presentation part of it. I think one of the things I would encourage participants, see what we are discussing here, what we are learning here. It will be put to good use if we can have some kind of a resource group. We are going to float a tracker for your daily reference as well, which could be a great aid for you, especially when you declare these are the 5 things I'm working on it as a group. We can put down things that 5 or 2 or 1, whatever, how many times we are succeeding, how many times we are failing. But in addition to that, like some of the threads that we do, if we can, contribute towards that, it could become an ongoing body of knowledge for us that we are discussing in these. So there's a huge potential for that. I would let Jyoti talk about that. Quick presentation, I think she's going to give. Take a look at it, and I would encourage you to participate. It will not take much time of your day, but that will go a long way in creating that body of knowledge that we are hoping would come out of these sessions and enrich the experience for all of us. So I'm going to stop share now and invite Jyoti over for sharing what she has on mind.
Radhe Radhe everyone. Can you see the screen?
Yes, we are about to see this. We can see your screen.
Yeah. So this is a minor correction. This is not a presentation. Instead, it is a online live, you can say, display. So this is JKYog community. So if you type community.jkyog.r, what you will see this page appear. So in this, there is also an app named Mighty Networks. If you put your phone number, you'll get all the text. Along with that, as soon as you will join this, you will go to this page where you can just quickly create your account by putting your name.
You can ask how many of people, sorry Jyoti, I didn't want to, how many people, you can raise your quick show of hands, are already aware of this portal, the resource that we have. You can show with a quick show of hands so that we know how many of you are active there or are aware of it. If not, then you can follow Jyoti's instructions. It's very easy to use, just like Facebook or anything, but it's very, very focused on the spiritual content. So quite a few people are, and I think some of you are not. So I would encourage you to get registered and take benefit from all the posts, summaries, discussion forums that happen around the topics that we discuss, and would strongly encourage you to contribute towards what you are learning in the sessions and the summary that Jyoti and Ankurji are going to send out regularly on the portal. I'd strongly encourage you to participate in that. That's a good resource group for all of us, and to also to share what we have to enrich everybody's experience. Yes, over to you, Jyoti. Sorry.
No worries. So and in case so the interesting thing is that you can join this community, and then how it works. Can you see this screen? As soon as you will log in, or as soon as you will try to explore this page will appear where you can see that many people have put their comments or whatever is happening every day. So if you click on classes, over here, you can see there is morning gems with Swamiji, and there is daily wisdom from Bhagavad Gita. If you click on this further, what you will find all the testimonials by people. There are all daily wisdom Bhagavad Gita PDF slides in PDF format, and along with that there is video which you can just click and go through it. If you click on this link where it is just suppose you click on this, why must I read Bhagavad Gita, so it will take you to this portal where this PDF is available. On top of that, if you want to, so our
are you sharing a screen where it's showing that page? Because
can't you see this?
I'm seeing
it is frozen. I think I can't. We can't. We are still in the login page.
We are only seeing login page right now. Create account login page we are seeing. So.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Is it a? Is it on the other tabs, Jyoti ji?
Yeah. Can you see now?
Yes.
Oh, okay, great. So this is what, as soon as you will log in, I'm so sorry for this. As soon as you will log in, this page will appear. And if you click on the classes, so it will take you to the classes session where there's a classes for daily wisdom for Bhagavad Gita. And further, if you go into that, you will see all the PDF in terms in the format of all the slides in PDF format, and there are videos available over here. If you click on any of them, you'll see these videos. Along with that, if there's activity feed where every day our group is going to send daily takeaways. On top of that, there are sometimes some discussions are left, so you can put your discussion at the end of this chat. You can share your thoughts, you can put your ideas, and you can share whatever is on your mind. So that's all I have, and it's really interesting, simple.
Thank you, Jyoti. Yeah, it's basically if putting down some of the reflections from the sessions on the thread that you have, because not everybody talks. I get that. And I'm sure a lot of you have a lot of inputs around it, right? And even otherwise, if you have a question or need some clarification, this will be a good resource group, because in the course of Bhagavad Gita journey, we are going to introduce a lot of concepts, and it's important to keep on, putting your inputs around it, reflections on it, and clarifying those concepts so that we evolve as a group. And this is a great resource group you can take advantage from. Jyoti has been gracious enough to summarize what we discuss every day. You will see those. And then Ankurji is also going to support us. If you are interested in that seva, do let me know. We can certainly enable you around that as well. We always need help. Samji has raised his hand. So if you're going to ask me about PDFs, they are in the past, no longer shared. It's only going to be videos going forward. Because we are going to create a Udemy, and that is where we would need those. Hope I clarified that already. And if you want to help out on the seva, please let me know. You can raise your hand or put it in the feedback tracker, and we would really encourage you to create a buzz around it. Share your experiences. I see Smitaji writes such wonderful notes. Padmaji has so much to share. I would say, rather than losing all that inputs on WhatsApp or in our sessions, we can get them well documented. It can become a very, very nice resource group for all of us. Yes, I can see. And
Yes, Sandhya-ji.
Yeah, I am amazing. Thank you, Jyoti, for doing this. And I just wanted to add that that platform is actually a wonderful way for all of us to stay connected as well. I mean, that is where we all can, we can, in fact, follow each one of us, and we can see what we are posting and our thoughts we can share. And most importantly, along our spiritual journey, whatever challenges we face and we are struggling, we can post it over there, and others who have experience can actually give tips from their experience. So that way it will help each one of us grow and help each other grow. So I think it's really a wonderful platform, and it's technically not at all challenging. So all of us should definitely give it a try.
It's an amazing platform, and it has an immense power to help each other out. So once you start getting used to it, you will realize it. And we can also discuss some of the practical problems. That is the whole idea, right? Bhagavad Gita for daily life. It's not about some high-level concepts we are talking and with no applicability to our day-to-day lives. We can share that, put that as a question, and we can certainly discuss that in our sessions as well. So the potential is huge, and a good way to connect on this knowledge and deepen this knowledge as well. Great. Yes, Jyoti, you wanted to add something? Like I said, it's a very revolutionary thing Jyoti is going to show us. So I hope you're all excited about it.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So any other questions last minute, or we move to our devotional segment? I see Payalji has turned on her camera, so that already tells us that she's going to sing us a melodious bhajan for us today. So technically our session ends at 10, but we stay back for another few minutes for the devotional segment, do a bit of chantings, recite God's name, and that's how we wrap up our session. So you're welcome to stay back for another 5-10 minutes if you want. But otherwise, I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. We are going to cover the gunas, and it's important to understand the gunas and some of the unreasonable expectations we have with people around us, we'll try to put it in perspective tomorrow. Yes, Surendra ji, you had a question?
Radhe Radhe, please go ahead. I think I'm unable to unmute.
Radhe Radhe
Yes,
Prabhu.
yes.
How do we know that whether I'm a member of the JK community already or not?
If you try to, you won't be able to do anything or comment anything unless until you are the member of the group or you have logged in.
If you click on that, you will be prompted to set up an account. That's the easiest way to know.
I did that, but my email is already existing. So it says this email already exists. Is that enough?
Yes, yes. You are already there, Surendra ji. I've seen your comments.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
You're already there, so you're safe.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe
Yeah,
Radhe.
thank you. There is one question for you, Nitinji. Should we take that?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
There's a question from Ashwina ji. What can be a strong why power that we can remind ourselves while being put in a situation when tolerance is not easy?
What is a strong why when tolerance is not easy? That's a good question. It's going to continue to happen with us. It's just that we will get better over time. So maybe if this much you get activated with this much of thing, then it will become this, and then it will become this, and it will become like this. It's not that we will wake up and we will be completely tolerant. That's not going to happen. It's not going to be a unit step function. But the strong why would be, all right, here is an opportunity where my soul is here. Okay, I have an opportunity to maintain the level of my soul here only, or I can take it here if I have a better response, or I can tolerate part of it, or I can degrade myself. Now the choice is us. Do we want something good for ourselves in long run, or do we want to have a short-term dopamine pleasure and vent it out? So I think if you're intellectually convinced that it is truly good for my spiritual growth, what Lord Krishna is saying in Bhagavad Gita, and we are sold out in that mind idea, we have contemplated it or not hard enough, and it actually pinches us. If we have failed, then I think we are already on the path to progress. Previously, it will not even pinch you. You will not even question, why did I do that? In fact, your mind will justify, I deserve to do that. That's good, I did not tolerate it. But the day your mind starts questioning, it's really, and it says that, no, you could have had a better response. That means the progress has already started. So you have to fight your mind, because its natural tendency will not let you do that. And that why power will come from enough contemplation and firm conviction that this is good for my spiritual journey. If I have earned 100 rupees, $100 in my spiritual journey, one moment of rage, I cannot fritter it away just like that. I need to hold on to that $100 as best as I can. So we have to reason with our head as with different reasons that we can give us. Hope I have answered part of your question.
I think so. Yeah. Thank you, Nitin.
Okay.
Now, can we start our devotional segment?
Sure. So we can get started. I can see quite a few hands. Are there questions, or maybe we can take?
I think it is for devotional section. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Sure. Start with Surendra ji. You want to say something?
Sorry.
Please, Radhe Radhe, Surendra ji, please. Oh no.
No, thank you very much. That hand was not lowered. Thank you.
Okay. Okay.
Oh.
I think you did that hand to say thank you. I thought. Okay. That's
Thank you very much. So nice.
Okay.
Your sessions are always enjoyable.
My pleasure. Yes, Swati ji.
Swati ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Yeah. Radhe Radhe. Can I have for few lines I can sing?
Yes, please. Yes, please. It will be our pleasure.
Yeah.
Thank you. बनिहारी का भेष बनाया, शाम चूड़ी बेचने आया, छलिया का भेष बनाया, शाम चूड़ी बेचने आया। चूड़ी लाल नहीं पहनो, चूड़ी हरी नहीं पहनो, मुझे श्याम रंग है बाया, श्याम चूड़ी बेचने आया, छलिया का भेष बनाया, शाम चूड़ी बेचने आया। राधा पहनन लगी, शाम पहनाने लगे, राधा पहनन लगी, शाम पहनाने लगे। धीरे से हाथ बढ़ाया, शाम चूड़ी बेचने आया। बनिहारी का भेष बनाया, शाम चूड़ी बेचने आया। Thank you, Radhe Radhe.
Thank you, Swati ji. Very nice. Your devotional bhavs are very, very infectious, and it's always a pleasure to hear from you. Thank you so much for that. All right. Who's next?
Ramya ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Ramya ji, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe, I wanted to sing Brajtam Mahima.
Please.
Radhe Jaya Krishna Jaya Vrindavan, Jaya Radhe Jaya Krishna Jaya Vrindavan, Shri Govinda Gopinatha Madana Mohan, Shri Govinda Gopinatha Madana Mohan, Shama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan, Kalindi Jamuna Jaya Jaya Mahavan, Kisi Kata Bhamsi Pata Dwadasha Karnan, जहाँ सब लीला कोइल श्री नंदा नंदान, श्री नंदा यशोदा जय जय गोपागान, सीता माती जय जय धेनु वत्सगान, जय वृषभानु जय कीर्तिदा सुंदारी, जय पौर्णमासी जय आविरानाधारी. Thank you.
Thank you, Shri Ramya ji. See, it's such a wonderful day to start your day. You recite Lord Krishna's bhajan. Amazing. Very, very nice. Thank you so much for that. Samsung ji, I would call you Shyam Sang. Okay.
Radhe Radhe, Samsung ji.
Might turn on your camera and your name.
Radhe Radhe Nitin ji. Actually, I've forgotten to put my name, Ajit Jain.
Yes, Ajit ji.
I have suggestion that just now Swati ji has sang a song. The Krishna ji has come to चूड़ी बेचने आया. तो उसका मतलब क्या है? भक्ति में क्या उसका क्या सेंस है? Why you consider it as a devotional song? So somebody should comment for that, or the singer should also have something. Similarly, second singer has also spoken some bhajan, but I could not understand the meaning of that. So my suggestion is that somebody should comment over it, that what is the meaning behind it. For example, in the Swati ji song, it reveals that whatever you are doing, interaction with the God, in daily, day-to-day activity as well, whether you are fighting with the God or you are loving with the God, or you are whatever you are doing, that is a devotional, that is a devotion in that. Since you are coming closer to the God by any means, that is what my interpretation. What do you say? Radhe Radhe.
So the first one you asked, what's the big deal if God is selling? So where is devotion in it, right? That was the question.
Yes, yes.
All right. So now I'll tell you some jhankis, Rasik Singh jhankis, right? Lord Krishna has woken up, okay, and he's yawning, and mother is trying to wake him up, and he's falling down. Then he just puts him on the floor, and he's again losing the balance. And that jhanki has 6 things. Okay, so precious. Now you'll say, where is devotion in it? So the point is, devotion will grow on you. Okay? When you love somebody, God's everything is special. It's not like a normal kid. Now God, when he descends down to our level and sells chudis and does those leelas, they have to be celebrated. And people who understand that, they find a lot of rasa in that. And people who are contemplating on that, thinking Krishna is selling chudis and doing it to Radha, they're visualizing it. Their mind is also getting transformed and cleaned. That is the power of devotion. It is not an ordinary child doing something, or Lord Krishna. He is the father of this universe, and he has descended down to become a Sarthi of Arjun. You'll say, what's the big deal about that? There is a big deal. If he becomes Sarthi, that's not a big deal. If I sell chudis, that's not a big deal. If God sells that, and you're thinking about it, it's a big deal. It will actually purify your mind if you're thinking it with that sentiment. But if you're thinking with material sentiment, what's a big deal? That's a guy, right? Sending Chudigar's devotion, you'll get material result. If you do it with divine sentiment, you'll get divine result.
That is very appropriate, meaning you have told. Actually, that is what my suggestion is, that we should try to understand the meaning behind it, the spiritual message behind it.
Sure. So every Leela of God, I think that is the premise here, that people, they relish, any bhajan about Krishna, because they've kind of reached that understanding that it is good just to recite. See, we say water, 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 it will not quench our thirst. We say Rajesh, 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 nothing will happen. We say Krishna, 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 Ram, Ram, Ram. If you meditate on that for 1 hour, your throat will tell you something special has happened. That is the power of God. God's names, His Leelas, His bhajans, anything and everything related to God. But if you need a little more intellectual convincing around it, we'll continue to do that. But this segment is for people which are already sold out on this idea. But yes, we can always continue to put Tattva Gyan around that as well, as best as we can. But that's the idea. I think it could give you a gist of why people listen to bhajans, even though they seem like very, very mundane stuff, right? Somebody said, or a mother, like there is a beautiful Jhanki of Krishna. He's, what he's doing? He's telling Mother Yashoda, he's pulling her clothes and saying, take me to your lap. Okay, and there's a big couplet defined on that. Only on that Leela. Now we'll say, what's a big deal? What's so interesting in it? Actually, it is very interesting. So that grows on us as we deepen our devotion to God. And the best thing is, it is actually purifying our mind. When we contemplate on God's Leela, understanding, okay, God was doing that, then it actually purifies our mind. That is the deeper science behind this.
Okay. Radhe Radhe.
Swati ji wants to answer the question.
Sure, Swati ji, please go ahead. You made Lord Krishna sell chudi, so I would rather let you explain it.
Yes, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe. What I want to say, because whatever bhajan I sing, full day I get engrossed in that. I just don't sing bhajan. I imagine it's like a Roop Dhyan. And in that bhav, I sing that, it was a Man Leela actually. Radha was upset with him. And so to please her, he was not ready to talk to him. So that is a big Leela behind this story. But this, I'm just giving the gist of that. He was not ready to talk to him. And then all the Sakhis also, his Ashtasakhi also, he tried to please them, that please let me speak to Radha. The all Sakhis also said, no, she is upset with you. She doesn't want to talk to you. Then he took the Banihari bhais and he became himself ladies, took the chudi wala, that all set of chudis in his one potli, and then he went to sell the chudi. Then the Sakhis said, asked Radha whether you want to meet the chudi wali. Then she said, okay, I'm upset full day. I don't want to talk to Krishna. Now let me at least get something, interact with someone. So let him come inside. And then when he comes inside, that is a big Leela that he tries to put the chudis. She's not looking at him. So it's like that. It's bhav, and that Man Leela is there behind that story.
Sure.
Thank you.
Ramya ji, you can also give the meaning of the bhajan. I think a little bit that will help too for the benefit of everyone. If we can do that, maybe in a few lines, that will be helpful as well. But these leelas, I think maybe Ajit ji, you have not done our session on devotion, the different bhavs with God. So when we get into that, it will clear the theory around it as well, and you will probably have a better appreciation for it. I have gone through the same journey initially. So like, okay, where is devotion? What is devotion? What's the big deal? Now I'm able to appreciate it. Once you understand the science behind it, it becomes easier for an intellect to immerse in it. And we can talk about that science of devotion in our coming sessions. We'll continue to do that so that everybody is able to appreciate when we recite or chant God's name. Okay. Yes, Payalji, Shamji, you had a question. We are running here. You had a question, or you're going to sing?
Yes, please go ahead.
Radhe, one small my input, if I can give. Otherwise, it's okay.
Real quick, yeah, sure.
Yeah, about Krishna selling chudis. भगवान जी हमें हर रूप में हर जगह सिखा रहे हैं कि come to me any which way. He is ready to come, become whatever he wants to become. Just for our sake. वो कुछ भी करने को तैयार है हमारे लिए. Just he wants us, our love, our devotion, our bhakti towards him. So he has taken the form of chudi wala. He has come down so low for us. and we are still thinking कि हम क्या करें, भगवान को माने ना माने, समझे समझे. He just wants our love, bhakti, that's it. उसके लिए उन्होंने क्या क्या नहीं किया. सतयुग में, द्वापर में, त्रेता में वो साथी बने से आपने कहा, कोड़े खाए अर्जुन के, उफ तक नहीं किया. अब इस युग में आके हम हमारे पास वो चूड़ी बेचने पे आ गए हैं. तो अब हमें क्या चाहिए उनसे? कुछ नहीं चाहिए. वो कहते हैं कुछ मत दो, सिर्फ भक्ति प्यार दो, एंड आई एम ऑल योर्स. दैट्स इट. राधे राधे.
Thank you, Shyamji. Very, very beautiful way of looking at it, and a lot of devotion and conviction in what you said. So loved it. Very nice. Yeah, God, everything that God does becomes a cause for celebration. Some of these leelas, you will say these are very normal activities. Even kids do that. Why we say, but when God does that, it is cause for celebration. Yeah. Those 6 jhankis, if you get a chance, listen to what Maharaj Ji explains when Krishna gets up from his bed. That itself has so much of rus. And then in some of the sessions, we'll bring some more jhankis with Tattva Gyan so that Ajit Ji, you are able to appreciate it even more. I'm going to bring in a couple of leelas. Purvi also has a few planned that will help you relate the bhakti ras with the theory behind it as well. Right? Narad Ji, when he looks at these leelas, he says what kind of karma this lady Yashoda Maiya would have done, that this Brahman, big yogis, they sit for years and years. He doesn't care to enter their samadhis, and he's crying in front of Yashoda, take me in your lap, and Yashoda is saying, no, leave me, I have some house chores to do. What kind of karma you would have done to actually do that too? And Krishna is actually saying, take me in your lap, I want to be in your lap. And she would get the privilege of holding him throughout the day and even sleeping and keeping him close to his chest. These are the things which you can relish once you understand who's God, and when he does his leelas, what does it mean? But yeah, like I said, it grows on us gradually. So keep attending the sessions. I'm sure one day you will say, wow, we need to hear more of these. And I can see the devotion in it as well. All right, last but not least, Payalji, go ahead. We can wrap up our session with your melodious bhajan now.
Yeah, Radhe Radhe. Payalji, please go ahead.
Thank you so much, Pallaviji and Nitinji. Yeah, so I'll not take much time. I'll just sing 4 lines. Karu man nand nandani ko dhyan, karu man nand nandani ko dhyan, karu man nand nandani ko dhyan, karu man nand nandani ko dhyan. ये अवसर तुम्हें फिर ना मिलेगो, ये अवसर तुम्हें फिर ना मिलेगो, मेरो कहो अब मान, करु मन नंद नंदनी को ध्यान, करु मन नंद नंदनी को ध्यान. गूंगरवारी अल के मुख पे, घूंगरवारी अल के मुख पे, कुंडल झलकत कान, करु मन नंद नंदनी को ध्यान, करु मन नंद नंदनी को ध्यान, करु मन नंद नंदनी को ध्यान. Radhe Radhe. Thank you so much.
Beautiful, Payalji. I think our bhajan team would probably like to import you as quickly as possible. that was an option. Love it. You take us to another world. And this was a slow one, but mind-blowing, I would say. Great. Thank you. Appreciate everybody for your enthusiastic participation and for the melodious bhajan, Palji, to wrap up the session. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. And have a wonderful day and a great rest of your evening. We'll continue with our discussion tomorrow. So thank you again and Radhe Radhe.
Thank you, Nitinji, for another awesome session. Thank you, all of you. Have a great day. Have a great night. Stay blessed. Thank you, Radhe Radhe.
Thank you.
See you tomorrow.